One of the most common questions that I get is, Olivia, how much money do I actually need to buy a short-term rental? Now, that's kind of a loaded question because there are so many different ways to invest in real estate and buy a vacation rental. That's basically like asking someone, how much do I need to eat to get six-pack abs? It's gonna be completely different per person. It's gonna depend on what your goals are. You may be able to do it with $0 out of pocket like I did for my first property, or you may wanna put a huge down payment down to decrease your monthly mortgage. But in this video today, I'm gonna break it down for you. And this is gonna be a two-part video because there's just way too much to cover in one video, and I wanna make sure you're getting all of the information that you need. So for this specific video, I'm gonna be covering the first part of purchasing a vacation home, which usually involves getting a loan. You can buy a property in cash, but I'd say most people are getting a loan from a bank. So I'm gonna cover the three most common kinds of loans that you can actually get for a vacation rental property. And you're gonna wanna make sure that you stay until the last one because that one has been such a game changer for so many people. And then in the part 2 video, I'll cover the other costs that go into it, like furniture, permitting, any extra miscellaneous costs outside of getting a loan from the bank. So that will at least give you some sort of idea of how much it's actually going to cost for you to get your first property. Hello and welcome to the Wanderlust host channel. My name is Olivia Tati and I am a short-term rental specialist and world traveler on a mission to inspire you to invest in real estate and travel the world. My goal is to build a community of like-minded millennials who've spent years stifling their creativity, break free, and take control over their lives. There are so many different ways to buy a short-term rental, and it's very dependent on your purchase price too. You can come $0 out of pocket, which is exactly what I did for my first property. And if you want to watch the video on how I did that, make sure to check it out. I'll put a link to the video in my captions because I outline exactly how I did it, and you may want to use the same methods that I did. Now, while you can invest with $0 out of pocket, you don't want to have like $0 in the bank account. You want to make sure you at least have some money in the bank account reserves in case something goes wrong. Owning real estate in general comes with major responsibilities. And in just the drop of a hat, something can happen, like the hot water heater might go out, or a hurricane comes through and now you are having to replace the roof, or the washer dryer goes out, which is something I'm having to currently deal with at one of my properties. So you want to make sure you always have cash on hand. Do not, and I repeat, do not invest in real estate with $0 in your bank account and no wiggle room. I'd really recommend you wait a hot second and maybe save up some more money, or at least have a way to access cash if it may be a family member or something like that. When buying a short-term rental, there are 4 different upfront costs that you're gonna need to be aware of. The down payment is the first one, your closing costs are gonna be your second one, furniture and rehab is gonna be that third cost that you need to be aware of, and the fourth one are any additional miscellaneous things like permitting, cleaning, etc. Most people when buying a property, they're actually gonna take out a loan from the bank. So let's say you have a $300,000 house, it doesn't mean you need to actually put $300,000 of your own money to buy and own the property. Essentially what you'll do is you put a down payment down, so a smaller portion of that money, and the bank will loan you the money to buy the $300,000 house. There are also additional closing costs that you're gonna have to pay that equate to 3 to 5% of your purchase price. And those are just common numbers. It could be less, it could be more than that. And for this video today, we're gonna go over the 3 most common loan types that I see people using in order to buy a vacation home. Or not even just a vacation home, but a short-term rental property. And then you can go ahead and watch the part 2 video that covers all of the other aspects, so furniture, additional miscellaneous costs. The most common loans people will use to buy short-term rentals is an investor loan, so specifically for investment properties. Usually with this kind of loans, people have no intentions of ever living in the property themselves. They are strictly buying it as an investment property. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and the bell notification button. The more support I get on this channel, the more I can get this information out to more people to start investing in real estate, traveling the world, and living their best freaking lives. And the support just means the absolute world to me. With an investor loan, you're going to be required to put anywhere from 15 to 30% down. 25 usually being the common amount, but it could be anywhere from 15 to 30%. Always, always, always make sure to shop around for different lenders, because different lenders might be able to give you better deals, better rates. So don't always just go with the first lender that you come across. Hypothetically, let's say you're buying a $300,000 home that you found. A 30% down payment would be $90,000, whereas a 15% down payment would be $45,000. So depending on which lender you choose and what loan packages they're able to give you, you may be coming out of pocket for that down payment anywhere from $45,000 to $90,000. So really important, shop around, see what are the best packages you can get. One thing to remember is the less you put down, usually the higher your monthly payment is going to be to pay back that loan, so your mortgage. And also remember, it's not just the down payment that you're paying, you also have to pay additional closing costs on top of that, which are usually 3 to 5% of the loan that I was saying before. So let's assume for these purposes that our closing costs are 5%. An additional 5% of $300,000 is $15,000. You're really coming out of pocket anywhere from $60,000 to $105,000. And the $60,000 being if you put, 15% down, and the $105,000 if you put 30% down. Investor loans are a great option because there aren't really too many restrictions behind it like with some of these other loans that you have. So it's a really easy, reliable loan to get. And the second kind of loan that people use to buy vacation rentals or short-term rentals is a vacation home loan. And with a vacation home loan, you usually have to put 10% down at least. Sometimes it may be 15%, but there is a 10% down home loan package. Not all of your lenders are going to be able to offer this, so make sure once again that you shop around for different lenders and see what they're able to provide you with. Using a vacation loan also comes with other stipulations. Like you have to go and visit the property and be in it for at least 2 weeks a year usually. Different lenders are going to have different requirements, and it cannot be located in the same city as your primary residence. You can only have one vacation home per market, and the definition of market is going to be dependent on what your lender says essentially. So make sure to ask them exactly what the rules are. So let's say for a $300,000 house, you're putting 10% down on the property. That means your down payment is going to be $30,000. And then we have, once again, you have those additional closing costs, which are going to be another $15,000, meaning that you're actually going to be out of pocket $45,000 using a 10% down vacation home loan. So a really good option if you don't have as much money to go with a regular investment loan. You can come to the table with less money out of pocket. Now, the third loan type that is great to use when buying a short-term rental is an FHA loan. And I talk about FHA loans in some of my other videos, so make sure to go through and watch those as well. But with an FHA loan, you can put as little as 3.5% down. That's insane. With this kind of loan though, the place does have to be your primary residence for at least a year. So you do have to live in the property for a year. And a lot of people, like I did, will use the house hacking method where you rent out part of the home so you can short-term rent out part of the home while you live in the other part. This works really well for duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, or even a house with a basement or an outhouse or ADU, accessory dwelling unit, in the back. It's also a great method to use in cities with really strict regulations. For example, in New Orleans, for residential properties, you're only allowed to short-term rent out if you have your homestead exemption on your home. So you need to live permanently in one part of the house. A lot of larger cities will have strict regulations, and for good reason, but they usually do give some leeway to folks where it is your primary residence. So sometimes you can kind of get around the regulations a little if you live in the property. That being said, if you do leave the property, sometimes that may take away your ability to short-term rent out your property. So make sure that you do run your analysis using both midterm and long-term rental numbers to make sure that it also makes sense. And if you want to see how I analyze the numbers on my property, make sure to go and watch that video where I went from paying $1,800 a month in rent to living for free with just one property. Okay, so let's take the same purchase price, $300,000, but instead now you're putting 3.5% down on the property. This is just $10,500, and then you add, once again, your closing costs on top of that. So you're only coming out of pocket $25,500, which is kind of a steal, honestly. The great thing too is there are other types of loans very similar to these FHA loans. There's VA loans if you're a veteran. There's some people can get a physician's loan or an upper education loan. But a lot of these other loan types even let you come out of pocket for your down payment $0. So you only have to pay your closing costs. This is such a great way to get into real estate and get into the market, get your first property, and start employing these different tactics. And if you want to know more about these loans, just send me a DM on Instagram and we can have a chat. Okay, so now let's look at the different loan types all in one table. As you can see here, the three most common types are the investor loan that we talked about, the vacation home loan, and the FHA loan. You're going to be putting the most amount of money down if you go with the investor loan, but that is your most common type of loan. You're going to have less pushback and when you're using that kind of loan versus with the other two types. And then you've got your vacation home loan, which is a really great one to use, especially if you're just trying to buy one property in a specific market. And then you've got your FHA loan, which is just a great tool if you are hoping to house hack or get into short-term rentals, but in city situations. And remember that these are just three common loan types out there. There are so many different loan packages that you can choose from. So make sure to talk to a bunch of different lenders and see what they're able to offer you. And not only just that, but sometimes you personally need to get a loan from a bank. You can use private money. You can do the BRRRR method, which is buy, rent, rehab, refinance, repeat. You could do some sort of partnership where someone else actually gets the loan and brings the money to the deal. So don't just limit yourself to only looking at it as if you have to be the one to come to the table with the money. Literally, the opportunities are endless. Well, I hope that all of this information was super useful for you, and don't forget to watch the next video that talks about the additional costs that go into buying a short-term rental. And once again, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and the little bell notification button. I'm trying to grow my channel, and the more traction I get, the better. And make sure to stay tuned for part 2.